Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global AM News. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has launched the Expatriate Employment Levy, EEL, a mandatory contribution imposed on organizations that employ expatriate workers in Nigeria. This was as he promised that his administration is putting measures in place to overcome the prevailing situation in the country as soon as possible. The president also stated that he was confident that the levy would improve revenue indigenization and balancing employment opportunities in the country. Tinubu, who described the initiative as a game changer, says it is important to know that EEL is a contribution recently approved by the government, which will impose an effective timeline on expatriates working in the country to be able to train and develop Nigerians. President Bola Tinubu is expected to arrive in Ondo State soon for a condolence visit to the family of the late Governor Rotimi Akeredolu in Owo. It was also learned that the president will visit the Olowo of Owo Kingdom, Oba Ajibade Ogunoye, after which he will visit the national leader of the Pan-Yoruba Socio-Political Organization, Afenifere Ruben Fasoranti, in Akure, the state capital. The president is expected to make the visit in company of the state governor, Lucky Ayedatiwa, and some national and state leaders of the All Progressives Congress. The Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to sack the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission Executive Vice Chair, Babatunde Rukera. Tinubu, in a letter read at the plenary by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says he was demanding the sack of Rukera based on inefficiency. According to the FCCPC Act, the President needs the approval of the National Assembly to sack the Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission. However, Tinubu had in January sacked Rukera and the Director General, CEO of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Alexander Oko, with immediate effect. After deliberations, the request was put to a voice vote where the ayes had it and the President of the Senate hit the gavel. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pati, has disclosed that the federal government had enrolled about 750,000 Nigerians into the National Health Insurance Scheme. Pati stated this at the third edition of the Ministerial Press Briefing Series initiated by the Ministry of Information in Abuja, noting that the President Bola Tinubu-led administration will unveil a comprehensive program to digitize the nation's healthcare system in the next 2 weeks. The briefing series was initiated to provide a platform for public officials to reel out their achievement and appraise Nigerians of the challenges of governance. The special advisor to the President on Health, Dr. Salma Anas Ibrahim, had in August 2024 said the FG would provide health coverage to over 50 million Nigerians, especially the vulnerable and the elderly people, by 2027. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has eased fear of job losses after the implementation of the Oronsaya report. Idris disclosed this in a statement signed by his media aide, Rabiu Ibrahim. 12 years after it received the Stephen Oronsaya report, the federal government on Monday approved the implementation of some of its recommendations to reduce the cost of governance. Consequently, 29 government agencies will be merged, even as 8 parastatals will be subsumed into 8 other agencies. Moving on, the Federal Capital Territory Administration inaugurated one of the private sector transportation schemes to provide secure and efficient mass transit in Abuja. The inauguration of the 14 high-capacity and air-conditioned buses was said to be the beginning of a transportation system designed to end the menace of robbery through the so-called one-chance syndicate in the city. Inaugurating the buses, the Mandate Secretary of Transportation of the FCTA, Ubukutom Nya, noted that the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, had the vision of changing the narrative of the transportation system of Abuja. Nya revealed that many other private sector investors were expected to join in the effort to provide alternative sources of transportation that will be reliable and affordable. The Nigerian Communications Commission has reiterated its directive to telecom operators to buy telephone subscribers not linked to the national identification numbers on or before February 28, 2024. The Executive Vice Chairman, National Communications Commission, Aminu Maida, spoke at the NCC Special Day during the ongoing 45th Kaduna International Trade Fair. Maida, who was represented by Ruben Moka, NCC's Director of Public Affairs, insisted that as a matter of critical national security, telecom consumers must link their NIN to their SIM. He reaffirmed that the February 28 deadline given to telecom operators to buy subscribers who failed to link their NIN to SIM stands. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the United Kingdom-based Weather and Climate Services Consultancy to partner in key areas that will lead to improved service delivery by the agency. Speaking at the MOU signing, the NIMET Director General Charles Anosike said the partnership would further strengthen the agency's commitment to providing world-class weather and climate information services to Nigerians and the various industry sectors that it serves. Those present at the event include the Executive Director of Legal Services of NIMET, Shola Gabriel, and other staff of the agency. Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo has disclosed that 5 people were killed while 26 others were rescued when a 2-story building collapsed at Odu-Igbo Market, Ochanja, Onitsha. The governor spoke at the site of the collapsed building in Onitsha. According to Soludo, rescue efforts are still ongoing to save those still trapped under the rubble. The governor also stated that the state government will pay the medical bills of those receiving treatment in the hospitals. He expressed deep condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in the ugly incident. Soludo also ordered the contractor handling the collapsed building to clear the debris at his own cost. He says the impunity of building with unapproved plans has remained one of the major problems in the state. He instructed that buildings shall only be erected in any Anambra market with approval from the State Fiscal Planning and his signature affixed. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has announced the dismantling and arrest of members of an organized criminal organization that specializes in trafficking heroin across Nigeria, South Africa, Mozambique, Europe, and America. The executive officer of NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, who revealed this to journalists in Lagos, said they were arrested in a 12-day, well-coordinated operation leading to the seizure of the single largest consignment of heroin at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, Ikeja, Lagos. Sharon Ajay reports that the briefing is in line with the agency's policy of transparency and its renewed fight against drug traffickers.
While giving a chronological brief on the operation leading to the single largest seizure of heroin at the Lagos airport, NDLEA boss reeled out that operative of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Command intercepted a suspicious package at the Sako import shed of the airport's cargo terminal. The consignment was concealed in a 15 cartons of 2,300 watts metal cutting machine. Each carton was stocked with 3 blocks of high-grade heroin. In total, the NDLEA recovered 45 blocks of illicit substance with a total weight of 49.70 kg. After the discovery, the official of the NDLEA started with the arrest of the freight agent, whose name is Olowolagba Wasiu Babatunde. It turned out that he was hired for clearing services by Mat P Logistic, a company operated by one Mr. Kola resident in South Africa. The officials then conducted a follow-up operation at the company's warehouse in the Shogunle area of Oshodi, Lagos State, and arrested the warehouse manager, whose name is Ajayi Imole Moses. Thereafter, set up an ambush for the expected receiver of the consignment, who was duly arrested when he showed up for collection. The receiver, whose name is Adinu Felix Chinedu, confessed during interrogation that he is the main distributor for a drug syndicate whose membership is spread across Nigeria. He admitted that he usually conveyed the consignment to a dedicated warehouse located in Ayobo. The place served as a workshop where he would dismantle the consignment and remove the drugs from the machines. Thereafter, he would wait for a list of various recipients to be forwarded to him from South Africa by the head of the criminal group. The NDLEA boss said several days of surveillance on the hotel culminated in a raid operation on Monday, February 19th, in which another drug mole, Iboanugo Chukwuemeka Tengod, was found in possession of 2 parcels of 2.2 kg heroin with code similar to the ones found on the seized drug shipment, bringing the total seizure to 51.90 kilograms. He further explained that the primitive actions so far taken against members of the syndicate include freezing a total of 107 bank accounts associated with 14 members of the cartel, as well as 119,582,928.31 naira found in some of the already traced bank accounts. He added that the hotel and a mansion linked to the head of the syndicate in Nigeria, Reginald Peter Chidebere, and another mansion linked to the head of the syndicate in Mozambique, Festus Ibewike, located in Agor Palace area, had already been marked for forfeiture to the federal government. While commending the synergy and support the NDLEA enjoys from other stakeholders like custom, the military, immigration, police, DSS, NSCDC, FRSC, NAFDAC, Aviation Security, AVSEC, and the media, as well as international partners, Marwa said the agency would relent in its offensive actions targeting drugs baron and their network. He says agency is resolved to end the reign of drug barons and disconnect Nigeria from the global drug trafficking network. Sharana J. reporting for Global TV News.
Residents of Ibeno local government area have called out for help against the destruction of life and property meted on them by the people of Eket and Estate Eket local government areas under the aegis of Coalition of Coastal Aboriginal Communities of Akwa Ibom. The call was a sequel to the invasion of an attack on the Ibeno people by members of the coalition. Verified information has it that before a team of policemen and other security agencies could intervene and stop an arson attempt on the mobile filling station along QIT Road, Ibeno, owned by Samuel Ekmeyong, the invaders killed 3 persons, maimed many others, and burnt down over 24 houses, including 4 Square Gospel Church in Iwuchang, a community in Ibeno. The Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Daudu Biu, has warned staff against getting involved in corrupt practices. Biu gave the warning at the first quarter Corps Marshal strategy session with commanding officers in Abuja, urging the staff to avoid tarnishing the image of the Corps. The Corps Marshal noted that corrupt practices must be dealt with, adding that any form of corruption will be met with severe consequences. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, says the Nigerian military is deploying more non-kinetic methods in light of their effectiveness in combating terrorism and other security challenges in the country. The CDS stated this at a one-day seminar with the team, Civil-Military Relations, Non-Kinetic Efforts of the Nigerian Military in Security Management, Challenges and Prospects, organized by Defense Correspondents Association of Nigeria. Kike Lomo Okere presents details.
The traditional notion of war relying heavily on kinetic means is gradually being relegated, and the Nigerian military now seek to possess and apply non-kinetic approach to project power, secure interests, and solve problems. Speaking at the event, the Chief of Defense Staff says Nigeria, as a diverse and complex nation, faces a mirage of security threats that demand varying attention and concerted efforts to address insurgency and terrorism, intercommunal conflict, as well as transitional organized crimes and the mirror of other security challenges.
The armed forces of Nigeria, being the key driver in countering the myriad of security threats nationwide, has sustained non-military and soft strategies as a means to an end of these multifaceted threats. As Chief of Defense Staff, I'm highly aware of the multidimensional challenges that confront our nation in the domain of security. Nigeria, as a diverse and complex nation, faces a myriad of security threats that demand our unwavering attention and concerted efforts to address.
The Director General, Nigerian Army Resource Center, Major General Garba Wahab, and other stakeholders at the event says there is need to have journalists embedded by the military in its operation planning and execution, adding that embedding journalists in the planning and conduct of operation will help greatly in checking negative reports on the activities of security agencies. They therefore charge media practitioners to be patriotic in the performance of their duties and avoid reports that will be detrimental to national interest and security.
In Nigeria, it is the bad story that sells, and so we tend to look for sensational stories. And if you don't communicate, you cannot expect cooperation, you cannot expect collaboration. It's going to be difficult. And once those three things are absent, coordination becomes very, very difficult. And that's the major fact. Is the security situation in Nigeria.
Talk about security. When we talk about the situation of war, we all have a role to play. I believe that this gathering gives us an opportunity to x-ray what the military is doing.
I want to continue to appeal to you to please apply lots of restraint when you are handling your jobs. We are all Nigerians.
I'd like to sincerely thank you and commend you for the unwavering commitment of keeping the public informed, just like General Gusau has said, against all odds. Practicing journalism in Nigeria, especially covering the defense bit, has a lot of risks and safety consideration. But against all that, you have been there to ensure that the well-being of the Nigerian society and the world is informed.
Earlier in his remark, DCAN President Ismail Musa says the theme of the event is aimed to reshape participants' minds towards effective service delivery, adding that the seminar is geared towards educating members of the defense, correspondents, and the public about the ongoing soft approach adopted by the military in the quest to further secure the nation. The armed forces of Nigeria, being the key defense entry countering the myriad of security threats nationwide, have sustained non-military and soft strategies as a means to putting an end to the multifaceted threats. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Now, on the foreign scene, Hong Kong has axed 3 major property transaction taxes in a bid to revive its depressed housing market, Finance Minister Paul Chan said in his annual budget speech. The finance hub is among the world's least affordable residential markets, but home prices retreated last year amid high interest rates and China's economic slowdown. Chan said Hong Kong immediately scrapped 3 types of stamp duty, reversing measures introduced more than a decade ago to rein in speculation fueled in part by mainland Chinese buyers. As the Palestinian Prime Minister announced the resignation of his government on Monday, paving the way for a shake-up in the Palestinian Authority, which the U.S. hopes will eventually take on a role in post-war Gaza, as all seeks for a peaceful resolution of Gaza conflict. The Palestinian envoy to Nigeria, Abdul Al-Shawish, has called on the Israelis and the international community to support the process by accepting the 181 resolutions. Global television correspondent Anthony Mamadou reports.
As the Gaza conflict seems to be reaching its end, with Palestinians and Israelis reaching a ceasefire truce and exchange of hostages, The Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdul Al-Shawash, says all actors must recognize the international treaties binding all.
To release many of the Palestinian political prisoners and the Israeli hostages on the hand of Hamas. This can be achieved only if and only if we agree, all of us, all of the international community stand to uphold the international law.
He called on Israel to recognize Palestinian people's right to self-determination and existence as a panacea for peace in the region.
This can be adopted when and if and only if when Israel recognizes the right of the Palestinians to self-determination, which is a fundamental human right for each and every people all around the world.
As the Palestinian Authority and the U.S. all seeks for peaceful resolution of Gaza conflict, many obstacles remain, but it is hoped a peaceful region will be achieved. Anthony Momodu reporting for Global Television News.
In business, the federal government has announced that the $700 million Obiafu Obrecom Urban Gas Pipeline, popularly called OB3, will be completed in March 2024, a project that commenced in 2016. It announced this at the ongoing 7th Nigeria International Energy Summit in Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu also provided some explanations on why his government had to remove petrol subsidy despite how difficult it was. Providing a couple of status reports in Nigeria's gas sector, during his remarks at the summit, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, described the OB3 gas pipeline as one of the biggest gas transmission systems in both Nigeria and Africa. Lastly on the news, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has vowed to pursue an aggressive regulatory environment to reduce infractions in the country's banking system. He says this in Abuja at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Apex Bank, the first since he assumed office in September 2023. He also stated that an in-depth investigation was underway to determine the necessary actions against banks involved in infractions, stressing that the bank was in the process of formulating stringent regulations to cleanse and purify the country's foreign exchange market. And that's it on the Global AM News, and it came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. Don't forget, we're on StarTimes, channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching. See you again.